At 67, she was in the best shape of her life. 5 miles a day, a training log, a resting heart rate she knew by heart. 2 rangers warned her that the inner canyon runs 20 degrees hotter than the rim, and that being fit is not the same as being able to handle heat. She heard only one thing, that she was too old. So she went. And her strength carried her further and faster than anyone else on that trail, which meant that when it finally left her, she was further from help than anyone. 5 hours, boot to collapse. Every summer, the heat inside the Grand Canyon kills hikers. Over the span of a decade, the count climbs into the dozens, and almost none of them are the people you would picture. Not confused, not frail, not lost, wandering off a path they never should have found. This one kept a training log. She could tell you her resting heart rate from memory. Her legs had carried her 5 miles a day for 40 years. And on the morning this happened, she was, by every measure she owned, in the best shape of her life. This is one of those stories. Welcome back to Doomed Departures. What follows is a composite, built from real conditions on a real trail, and from the specific way this canyon takes people who are certain they are the exception. No real person is named. The woman here is called Lynn, and the ranger Dale Whitcomb, and the events are a dramatization. The heat is not, the trail is not, the 5 hours are not. It is 8:05 in the morning at the South Kaibab trailhead on the South Rim. The air is still cool up here. There is a smell of juniper and warm dust and sunscreen. Somebody's dog is tied up near the shuttle stop, panting, watching its owner lace up. A man eats a granola bar off the tailgate of a truck. It is an ordinary morning at the top of a very deep hole, and everything about it looks completely survivable. Lynn Ashcroft is 67 years old. She is a retired school administrator from a suburb outside Chicago. She is not wealthy, and she is not famous, and she has never been rude to a stranger in her life. What she is strong, genuinely, measurably strong. She lifts 3 days a week. She walks 5 miles most mornings on the trails near her house, and she has done some version of that for 4 decades. She has a body that surprises people, and she knows it, and the knowing is the oldest part of her. Because Lynn has spent 40 years being underestimated. By doctors, by younger coworkers, by men at gyms, and 40 years running, she has answered the same way quietly, by simply being in better shape than whoever doubted her. She has said the sentence, "I am in better shape than you," more times than she could count, and she has never once been wrong. That record is the thing she carries to the trailhead, not water, the record. At 41, a doctor told her to slow down. She outlived the advice and, eventually, the doctor. At 55, a personal trainer at a new gym clipped a beginner's plan to her intake form without asking what she could already do, and she handed it back and asked for the advanced one, and then she did it in front of him. At 60, she started keeping the log properly, a spiral notebook, dates and weights and distances in small, neat administrator's handwriting. And it filled up, and she started another. The log is real to her in a way that is hard to overstate. It is not vanity. It is evidence. It is 4 decades of proof in her own hand that her body does what she tells it, and that the people who look at a woman her age and see something breakable have always, every single time, been wrong. 2 rangers are working the top of South Kaibab that morning, and one of them is Dale Whitcomb, 19 summers on this rim. He has given the talk he is about to give her something like 10,000 times, and he gives it to a version of Lynn almost every week. Most of them listen. That is the part people forget. Most of them listen. He stops her the way he stops everyone, politely, and he tells her the things he tells everyone, and they are all true. He tells her there is no water on this trail, none. Not a spigot, not a stream, nothing below the rim. Whatever she drinks, she carries. He tells her the inner gorge is running about 20 degrees hotter than the rim she is standing on, that the pleasant morning around her is not the weather she is walking into. He tells her the thing that matters most, which is that going down is the easy half. The climb out is roughly twice the work of the descent, in twice the heat, at the worst part of the day, and people spend everything getting to the bottom and have nothing left for the part that actually counts. And then he tells her the last thing, carefully, because it is the one people take badly. He tells her that a body flown in from sea level has not made the changes that heat demands. That it takes a week or 2 of living in heat before the blood and the sweat glands adapt to it. that no amount of fitness substitutes for that adaptation, because they are two different things. She tells him kindly that she does 5 miles a day at home. He tells her, just as kindly, that he believes her, and that it will not help her the way she thinks, because home is not 108 degrees on bare rock. She tells him she has been hiking longer than he has been alive. He does not argue with that because it is probably true, and because arguing has never once worked. He just asks her, plainly, to turn around at Cedar Ridge if the heat feels like more than she expected, and to please not go past Skeleton Point. He asks it as a favor rather than an order, because an order would end the conversation and a favor might survive it. Lynn hears almost none of it. What she hears underneath all of it, filtered through 40 years, is one sentence. She hears a man half her age telling her she is too old. That is not what he said. Whitcomb did not say a word about her age. He was talking about acclimatization, about sea level, about a physiological clock that runs the same for a 25-year-old marathoner as it does for anyone. But that is not the sentence that reached her, because she has an ear tuned across 4 decades to hear exactly one thing, and to answer it exactly one way. She thanks him. She is not rude. She is never rude. She thanks both rangers sincerely, and she tells them she appreciates the concern and she means it, and then she walks past them onto the trail, because in her entire life, nobody who told her she could not do a thing has ever been right. There is another hiker at the trailhead that morning, and he matters, so remember him. He is about her age, lean, gray, careful. He has a real pack and a real hat and 2 liters of water, and he has heard the same talk from the same rangers, and something in it has landed on him differently. The two of them exchange a few words at the top, the easy solidarity of 2 older people about to do a hard thing, and then they start down within a few minutes of each other. He is going to turn around. Keep him in mind. At 8:05, Lynn steps off the rim, and for a while, it is glorious. This is the part you have to bank, because it gets spent later. The first mile of South Kaibab in the morning is one of the great walks in the country. The trail drops along a ridgeline and the whole canyon opens on both sides, layer on layer of red and gold, and the air is still cool, and her body does exactly what her body has always done. It works beautifully. She feels wonderful. She passes people. She passes people half her age who are already struggling. And every one of them is another quiet proof, another entry in the 40-year log, and she is not being smug about it. She is simply being confirmed, step after step, that she was right and the ranger was wrong. A younger couple stops to catch their breath, and she goes by them with a friendly good morning and does not slow down. A man with trekking poles is sitting on a rock rubbing his knee, and she gives him an encouraging word and keeps her pace. Every one of them is another line in the log, another point in a graph that has only ever gone one direction. She is not gloating. That is important. She is a nice woman having the confirming, satisfying experience of a lifetime of discipline paying off exactly on schedule. It is one of the best feelings a person can have. It is also this morning a lie, and there is no way for her to know that, because it feels precisely the way it has always felt when it was true. At 9:20, she reaches Cedar Ridge. Cedar Ridge is a wide, flat shoulder about 1.5 miles down, and it is the last comfortable place to make a decision. She feels fantastic there. That is the trap, and it is worth saying plainly. She feels fantastic at Cedar Ridge because she has done the easy, downhill, cool of the morning part, and feeling fantastic there tells her nothing about what is coming. The other hiker, the gray, careful one, reaches Cedar Ridge a little after she does, and he stops. He looks down at the trail dropping away toward the gorge, and he looks at the sun climbing, and he does the arithmetic that fitness cannot do for you, and he turns around. He walks back up to the rim slowly in the still cool morning, a little disappointed, and he drives back to his hotel, and he is alive right now. Lynn keeps going. Here is the thing the whole story turns on, and it is the thing almost nobody knows, so it is worth stopping for. Being fit and being able to handle heat are 2 different things. They are not the same adaptation. They do not come together. You can have one in enormous supply and none of the other, and Lynn did. Fitness is your muscles and your heart and your lungs getting better at producing work. Heat tolerance is a separate set of changes, mostly in your blood and your skin, that let your body get rid of the heat that work produces. And those heat changes do not come from the gym. They come from time. 10 to 14 days of actually being in heat, during which your body quietly expands, its blood volume starts sweating sooner, and sweats out less of its own salt. Those are not small changes. An acclimatized body can carry noticeably more blood, which means more fluid to move heat out to the skin and more margin before anything goes wrong. It begins to sweat almost the moment the work starts, instead of waiting until it is already hot. It holds onto its salt instead of pouring it out. All of that is the actual machinery of surviving heat, and none of it is something you can train for in a gym in Illinois, and none of it was in Lynn's body that morning. Lynn had flown in from Chicago 3 days earlier. She had every bit of the fitness and none of the acclimatization. And the cruel part, the part that makes this a specific kind of death, is that the fitness made it worse. A strong body working hard produces more heat than a weak one because it can do more work. Her conditioning did not shield her from the canyon. It let her generate heat faster than an unadapted body could ever shed it. And it carried her. That is the real horror of it. Her strength did not fail her early, the way it would have failed an unfit person back near the rim where help was close. Her strength worked. It carried her fast and deep, 4 miles down toward the river, past the point where turning back was easy, past the point where anyone was close. And it kept her feeling wonderful the entire way down while her core temperature climbed behind the feeling. Strength bought her distance. It did not buy her safety. And distance out there is the thing that kills you. Because the further your strength carries you in, the further you are from help when your strength finally stops meaning anything. At 10:40, she passes Skeleton Point. There's a posted advisory here in summer, plain and direct, telling day hikers not to go below this point toward the river and back. She reads it. She is a reader, an administrator, a person who respects a sign. But she reads it the way she read the Ranger, as a rule for the average, for the unprepared, for the people she has been outperforming her whole life. She is not average. She has the numbers. She goes past it. By now the morning is gone, and the canyon has become what the canyon becomes. At 11:30, she reaches the tip-off, where the trail pitches down into the inner gorge, and the rock here is a different animal than the rock up top. The surface temperature on that stone is 108 degrees. The air is an oven, and the ground throws it back up at her, and there is no shade. And there is no water on this trail, and the water she carried is most of the way gone. She is 4 miles from the rim. Every foot of those 4 miles is now uphill. In this, on legs that have already done a lot of work. This is the arithmetic the Ranger tried to give her at the top, made real. The descent that felt so good spent something she cannot get back, and the bill for it is the entire climb out in the afternoon, in the worst of the heat, up the exact grade that carried her down so easily this morning. The very ease of the morning is what set the price of the afternoon. She got the discount going down. Now the canyon wants the rest of the payment, and it does not offer terms. Somewhere in here, a hiker passes her coming up, and this is the part that people who have been on that trail never forget. He is younger, moving up, and he takes one look at her, and he stops. He can see it, the flush, the pace, the something not right that experience recognizes. He offers her water. He tells her gently that it is bad below and worse coming up, and that she does not look like she should keep going down, and that he has extra, and that she is welcome to it. And Lynn, polite as ever, tells him she is fine. She thanks him. She means the thanks. And she waves off the water, because taking a stranger's water would be admitting she came up short, and she has never in 40 years come up short, and she is not going to start on the word of a man who does not know her resting heart rate. She tells him she trains every day. She tells him she is fine. He offers the water a second time. He actually holds the bottle out toward her, which is more than most strangers would do, and she smiles and shakes her head and pats her own pack as if to say she has her own, which she mostly does not anymore. He stands there a second longer, uncertain, the way you are when you can see something the other person cannot, and then he goes on up because you cannot make an adult drink, and he spends a long time afterward thinking about her. He will tell this story for years, about the fit older woman on South Kaibab who would not take his water, who was so sure, so pleasant, so completely and calmly wrong. He will not be able to explain why he did not do more, and there was nothing more he could have done, and that will not help. She was not fine. At 11:30, holding a stranger's kindness at arm's length, she was already past saving and did not know it, because the specific thing going wrong with her does not announce itself as an emergency. It announces itself as a good day. At 12:15, the first real sign arrives, and it is thirst, sudden and total, the kind that means the deficit is already deep. She drinks the last of her water. It is not enough. It was never going to be enough. Then the confusion starts, and it is quiet. She is not raving, she simply finds herself standing on the trail, unsure, for a moment, which direction is up. It passes. She tells herself she is tired. She keeps moving, and she is moving the wrong way, downhill, because down is easier and her legs want easier, and the part of her brain that would have corrected it is the first part the heat is taking. A person in this state does not feel like a person in danger. That is the whole cruelty of it. She feels like a person who is tired and a little foggy and needs a minute. And she has spent 40 years pushing through tired and foggy and being rewarded for it. The instinct that made her strong, the instinct to keep going when her body complained, is now walking her deeper into the thing that is killing her, one reasonable step at a time. Then her skin goes dry. This is the sign that matters, and it is the one nobody understands. She stops sweating. In 108 degrees on that rock, her skin goes dry and even cool to the touch. And if you asked her, she would tell you she had finally cooled off, that the worst had passed. It is the opposite. She has stopped sweating because her body has run out of the water to do it with, and sweating was the only cooling she had. And now there is nothing between her rising core and the point where the brain itself begins to fail. And then, in that heat, on that stone, she shivers. A body shivers to warm itself. Hers is doing it while it cooks because the thermostat has stopped telling the truth. And shivering in 108 degrees is not a symptom a person can talk themselves out of the way she has talked herself out of everything else. By now, though, there is no one left inside to do the talking. She is last seen upright at 1:05 in the afternoon off to the side of the trail by hikers who assumed, the way you do, that she was resting. She looked like a person resting. That is what it looks like. 5 hours after she left the rim, feeling like the fittest person on the mountain, she was down. Dale Whitcomb walked the trail that evening. He had recognized her that morning, the way you recognize a type, and he had hoped, the way he always hopes, that she would be one of the ones who turned around. When she did not come up and the light started going long and gold across the canyon, he went down to look because that is the job and because he had a feeling. Walking that trail at dusk is its own particular thing. The heat comes up out of the rock even after the sun is off it. The light goes long and red and beautiful, the most beautiful part of the day in the canyon. And Whitcomb has learned to distrust that beauty because the calls that send him down at that hour rarely end the way he wants. He knew her the moment he saw her that morning, not her name, but her kind. The strong one, the one with the answer ready before he finished the question. He has learned that the strong ones are the ones he loses, not the weak ones, because the weak ones turn around and the strong ones do not, and their strength is a head start into the exact place he will later have to carry them out of. They found her at 6:40 in the evening. The details are not the point, and they are not mine to hand out. The ruling was heat stroke. She had been on the trail 5 hours, and she had gone further into that canyon on her own strength than most people ever manage, which is exactly why it took the rescuers so long to reach the place where her strength had finally left her. The rangers were not wrong about her body. Her body was extraordinary. They were wrong about only one thing, and so was she. They all underestimated how far a strong body can carry a person, past the point where being strong stops helping at all. She spent her whole life proving that the people who doubted her were wrong. And the terrible truth of this is that they usually were. 40 years of that record is not a delusion, it is data. She really was fitter than the people who doubted her, almost every single time. The canyon was the one time the doubt was pointed at something her fitness could not answer, and she could not tell the difference, because from the inside the doubt sounded exactly like all the doubt she had already beaten. It came in the same shape. It just happened to be, this once, correct. The gray, careful hiker who turned around at Cedar Ridge is alive. He was not fitter than Lynn. He was almost certainly not as strong. He did not have her numbers or her log or her 40-year streak. He had one thing she did not, which was the willingness to believe that a stranger with a flat hat might know something about that specific place that his own body could not tell him. That is the whole difference. Not strength, not fitness. The one small, unglamorous willingness to be wrong about yourself, on a day when the price of being right was everything. It is worth saying that Lynn's confidence was earned. That is what makes this hard, and it is why the story is not a joke and she is not a fool. A person who has been right 10,000 times is not being arrogant when they expect to be right the 10,001st. They are being reasonable. They are doing exactly what a lifetime of evidence has taught them to do. The trap is that the canyon does not care about your track record, and it gives you no warning that this is the one time the streak ends, because from the inside the streak ending feels identical to the streak continuing, right up until it does not. In the summer, this canyon runs an average of around a dozen search and rescue operations every week. Most of the people they go out for are not who you think. A great many of them are capable, prepared, experienced people whose capability walked them straight into the one situation their capability could not solve. And the ones who die are very often the strongest, because the strong ones get the furthest in before anything goes wrong. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Doomed Departures and hit like so the next person sees it before their hike instead of after. And if a stranger has ever waved you off a trail or told you to turn around, tell us below whether you listened and whether you would listen now. This has been Doomed Departures. Stay safe, and we will see you on the next one.